All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live on KEXP. I'm your host, Troy Nelson, from listener-powered independent 90.3 FM, KEXP in Seattle, and 92.7 in San Francisco. And we are streaming 24/7 at kexp.org and our free mobile apps. And these live performances are made possible by people just like you. So thank you for supporting KEXP. And we are over the moon to have this band in the KEXP live room, and I'm talking about the legendary Dirty Three. And the Dirty Three, if you're all ready, take it away. Absolutely fantastic. You are listening to the Dirty Three live on KEXP.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's Warren Ellis here. I'd like to dedicate this to Mark Lanigan, the great man of Seattle, with lots of love. I miss you a lot. This is for the Night Porter.
Unbelievable. It is the Dirty Three live on KEXP. I'm spellbound. Thank you for transporting us to another universe, not only for the last 30 minutes, for the last 30 years. Thank you, Dirty Three.
Absolute pleasure. It's so wonderful to be back here in North America. We love America. We love touring here, and this was the first place outside of Australia that kind of took us into their hearts. And it's been 12 years since we came back, but yeah, it's wonderful to be here. I love your country a lot.
Yeah, thank you. And you released Love Changes Everything, your latest album, in 2024. And yeah, it had been about 12 years since you had released an album. And after a bit of a lengthy hiatus, I'm just so curious, when you three get back together after not being together for a long period of time, does the chemistry just snap right back into place?
Yeah, up until now it does. I mean, it's one of those sort of miracles that you don't kind of pick away at too much. But we were like what AC/DC did in the 70s, what Australian bands did, and what American bands did. You just go out and you hit the road and you play and you play and you play. So that was where we never rehearsed. We just played on stages and played live all the time. And up until today, 35 years later, it's still held well for us that we can get together. It's a little bit rubbery at first, but there's something about it that, I love those two guys. It's the longest relationship I've ever had, even with a marriage,
Yep.
And there's something beautiful and transcendental. We get up on stage, we're all in our 60s now, and there's still something that I feel from when I was a man in my sort of mid-20s, mm-hmm. and that I feel from them too. And that's the thing that's kind of never gone away from this band. This is like my kind of musical spiritual home.
Yeah.
And for me, I pop in and everyone's popping in and out. And that was probably the greatest thing that happened to us for our longevity. We're a very minimal band, 3 pieces. You start running around in circles, and we were smart enough to let each other go off and do different things. And that came back, and it kept the juice flowing, in this band. And we always knew there was something that we did that was particularly kind of intrinsic to this outfit. Mm-hmm. So coming back to it's always, a great pleasure. And for me, it's a kind of, it's a marker. Like I got into Portland and got in a hotel. I was in a old hotel. It smelt like a hotel I was in America in the mid-90s. There's something, we're like a kind of old hotel that hasn't been gentrified.
That's a really good way to put it. And people appreciate that for that.
The crowd so far have been amazing. I think, we divided people very early on. I remember we opened for Beck, and he rather bravely took us on opening for his Odelay tour. And
Yep.
It was some people were throwing things at us, and then people were fighting because they liked us, but the other people didn't. Mm-hmm. We always divided people. And I've always really liked that about this band, that people know where they stand with us. I don't want I'd love a TikTok moment if that was at all possible, but I really don't. We're not, we're just, I don't know, we've always been able to, people knew where they stood with us. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I like about the music that I like myself. I know where I stand with it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that the music speaks to that. Let's say you play in front of, 5,000 people, and if the crowd is a bit divided, the people that do sort of click with it or understand it, they're going to be lifelong, supporters of the
that seems to be the way that it goes. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed this time coming back, we've always had a loyal following, whether it was small, medium, or big, or whatever. But these people who, have just been incredibly loyal to us, and I'm really grateful for that. And it's just great to come back and play.
Yeah, It is an amazing thing, but you all create such an amazing sound. Warren, I want to rewind the tape of life all the way back to the very beginnings of the Dirty Three, how this all started. Is it true that this all started because you had a friend that bought a bar in Melbourne, and rather than playing records, he wanted live music?
Yeah, that's basically it. I just given up teaching. I was a school teacher, believe it or not, and I was also an alcoholic and a heroin addict, and those three career paths don't necessarily kind of
mix well together.
So I gave up teaching and kept on going with the other two, and I was staggering across the road, and a friend remembered that I played a violin, and he just bought a bar and said, have you got some mates? And I said, no, I don't. And he said, well, do you have anyone that plays music? And I knew Jim, and Jim knew Mick, and we got together an afternoon and got 5 ideas together in an hour, and went down and played for 3 hours and made them long. And the whole conceit of the band formed in that afternoon and that evening.
Wow.
And so then we'd sit in a corner of a room, probably from here to there, and there was no stage or PA, and we'd set up. I'd use a mop bucket as a microphone stand and stick a little microphone on, and we'd just bring every instrument down that we had. So I had an accordion and blah, blah, blah. And we'd just sit in the corner and play. And, he asked us to come back, and we just kept playing. And that's the only thought we've ever put into it.
Right.
We just, and we liked the fact that we didn't have none of us could sing. And we liked the fact that we were able to express ourselves in a really different way in this kind of format.
Yeah.
And we felt it was lyrical enough, and it gave us the possibility to kind of explore, our approach to the instrument and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we all come from, kind of rock backgrounds or hard, whatever things. So, speaking for me, I grew up listening to Black Sabbath and AC/DC and the Saints and the Sex Pistols and Stravinsky and Miles Davis and John Coltrane and Ellis Coltrane. But I played a violin, and that wasn't really anything to do with what I was listening to. And so then I plugged into my brother put a pickup on with a rubber band, a guitar pickup for me when I went down to play, and gave me a distortion pedal, and I literally just plugged it in, turned it all up, and saw what happened on the night. And that was as much thought as I put into it, but I really liked the fact that it was volatile and uncontrollable. Mm-hmm. And I think I filtered the kind of the music that I really liked. I tried to find a way to play that. Like, I could never play classically, or I tried, but I wasn't disciplined enough.
Was that bar called the Baker's Arms, or what was the Baker's?
Yeah, I think it was called. I think it was probably called that.
Okay. And you mentioned, I think about the history of Australian music, and I heard you mention the Saints, who I feel, of course there's lots of people that love the Saints, but I feel like they should even be more well-known, especially the history of
There's
punk
a lot of
rock.
bands that should be, and they're one band
I'm
that
Stranded
should be.
is one of my favorite records
Yeah,
of
well,
all
those
time.
first 3 records stack up against anybody's 3 records ever.
Exactly.
And the Saints had such an amazing impact on people, particularly like Nick Cave. He saw them, and he said he just, a bulb went on and he knew what he wanted to do. And they were, I never saw them in that format, but they were so apart from everything else that was going on. They just had this kind of wild sound. And Chris Bailey he just did not give a fuck.
Yep.
And he had this attitude. And I know, I remember when the thing broke here in Seattle, a lot of bands referenced them and really loved his way of singing. And Mark Arm has been out singing with the Saints, I know how much he loves them. And, maybe they're one of these bands that are just destined to not be known, but they should be,
Yeah.
I mean, it even surprises you when the Velvet Underground is still relatively unknown, even though they're so influential. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Saints, and they had a massive kind of impact, I think, on the people younger than them coming through. You know, they saw that and saw what like a kind of the attitude of a rock and roll show could be. Mm-hmm. And in Australia, we were so far away from everything, you felt isolated. So we had we had all these references coming in. You know, we had Black Sabbath and we had Led Zeppelin, but then we had AC/DC, you know, and then we had like, you know, I don't know, I can't even think of them at the moment. You know, the Bee Gees who'd sort of gone overseas. The great songwriting team of Vanda and Young, who are in the Easy Beats, just phenomenal. The Young brothers are kind of like, for me, the foundations of Australian music. They're just extraordinary. And so we had this kind of like this sort of identity that developed because you were far enough away to not, like, you could absorb the influences, but you felt isolated as well.
Yeah.
And I think the Saints really came out of that thing as well. And then you get bands who were sort of imitating other stuff, but the great Australian music is great. And and we had so many bands that we could go and see, you know. I mean, the scene in the 80s and the 90s was, I don't know about now, but it was just phenomenal, you know. You could go and see great. We had a lot of touring bands coming over, but you could see just incredible, you know, local stuff going on. There was a lot of little pubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I guess it was here.
There's still a lot. Yeah. I mean, I feel in the 20 years that I've been doing this radio thing, in the last 10 years, I feel like every 4 bands that we get for new music is an Australian band. It just, the lineage just keeps going and going and evolving.
Yeah, well, you have this, you know, like there's great bands like Amble and the Sniffers, and you have this kind of, there's an Australian attitude, you know, that I think people really appreciate.
Yes.
We're pretty straight up.
Yeah. Did you ever play with or meet Liars?
No.
No, that's another great band. Or, of course, you know, right now, like the Tame Impala and all the branches that are coming
That's
off
right,
of that.
there's them as well, yeah. Like,
yeah.
I mean, you know, I left in 95 and didn't keep a close watch on stuff, you know.
Yeah, well,
like,
you just are going that far.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't sort of stop until recently, you know. I kind of stopped. I'm not stopped, I've always made stuff, whether it's with this band or with Nick, with the Bad Seeds, or doing film work, or, you know, I opened an animal sanctuary in Sumatra 5 years ago, and I house animals with special needs and give them a place to die, and you know, it's a charity and stuff, and I've set that up. It's called Ellis Park Sumatra, and I've written a book. I've kind of tried to, you know, like, I have limited skills, but I try to kind of like branch out into other areas where I have no idea what I'm doing. And this is what I love about music. I don't, you know, always when I feel that unease, I know I'm in the right spot with it, you know, and soundtrack music is great for that. I love that, you know, not really knowing what to do with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never really stopped. Until the COVID thing happened.
Right.
And then I just realised the only thing I could do was work.
Right.
That was there was so much going on. I just thought I just did other things that I wouldn't normally have done.
Yeah, and speaking of, like, right before the COVID thing, so over the decades, obviously, you have collectively worked with artists that we've mentioned, like Nick Cave. You've also worked with Cat Power, Bonnie Prince Billy, and Bill Callahan, but also you've, you know, toured and played shows, like you said, Beck, and also Sonic Youth, Blonde Redhead, Beastie Boys, Pavement, PJ Harvey, just to name a few. And you've played shows all over the world. Even your album Ocean Songs was listed as the top 100 Australian albums of all time. And you've achieved so much. Would you say one of the highlights of this Dirty Three music journey was in 2019 when Robert Smith handpicked you to perform at the Sydney Opera House for your 25th anniversary? What was that like?
I think the highlight was after seeing The Cure, seeing him still in his smeared makeup, like, say, I really love your band. I listened to it in traffic jams. That was the great highlight.
Amazing.
The great highlight for me these days is being alive, which is only a recent revelation to me, but actually being alive. I mean, I don't take much stock in the whole thing. I don't look at what I do. Occasionally I'll glimpse in on it, but I'm more concerned about what's ahead, you know, like, and I guess everybody says that, but actually it's the truth, you know, like I really, you know, I just want to keep making music that I feel like, you know, is the best that I can do. And Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I love all the things that you do that have branched out from this project. And I do want to mention real quick before we go, your animal sanctuary in Sumatra. Once again, I know you had mentioned it, but how do people find that?
It's on Instagram. I have a business card, but I can't give that.
Here,
out yet.
I'll show the business card to the world.
It's called Alice Park Sumatra on Instagram, and alicepark.org. And we're a charity that myself and Femke Den Haas founded in 2021. And it was purpose-built to give these animals in Sumatra a place to die with dignity. So we have 2,000 animals that I'm basically responsible for. I have a team of 40 people, volunteers. I have built a hospital, a school. We have armless monkeys, toothless bears, toothless crocodile, animals without legs, animals that have been kept in cages because people can buy a monkey for $30, stick it in their garden, and then realise they have a wild animal 20 years later. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So the main purpose is release, but with these animals it isn't possible. So this woman does amazing work, Femke, and I was lucky to sort of jump on her coattails and bought a bit of land, then realised we had to build it. And I didn't want to be, put my hand up and go, hey, look what I've done. But I did because I didn't have the money to build it.
Right.
And I didn't really investigate very far. And I threw it out there and said, look, I've bought this place, I've donated it, let's build it together. And it was in COVID, and it was like singly one of the most beautiful things that happened to me. This community kind of grew around it. And fans of the music were selling their T-shirts and their signed posters and like everyone jumping on, and we raised enough money to build it. I went to big institutions, like my book publisher. I went to a museum in Paris, and I'm like, hey, let's go halves in a school together, it'll cost you like $5,000 and I'll call it the Musée d'Orsay School. And they're like, COVID's been really hard. I walked in the studio and Nick goes to me, how's it going? And I said, wow, it's a bit hard. And he goes, well, let's build the school and the hospital together. So me and him built that. Then Flea, I called him, and Flea is does amazing work. He's such a beautiful guy. And I've always respected his kind of work that he does, built the music centre that he's got, and the one in Watts and the one in Silver Lake. And he was a big reason. He was so supportive. He just goes like, do it, man. It will open your heart to something that you can't imagine. And it was on the strength of that, that I just did it. And he's been amazing. I've had just lots of people that I know, like fans and kids and stuff like that, then actors and things like that, they'll give me things and we raffle them and sell them off. And it has this, I totally didn't anticipate that. I just wanted to sort of do something and then step away, and instead found myself feeding monkeys for the rest of my life. And I've kind of promised that I will do that until they put me in the ground, and,
I think it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing.
Well, it's a beautiful community. This is the thing. It's a really, it's really about enabling people. And this is something as a young person and as an adult I wasn't really aware of. And as I'm 61 now, and I feel like, you can just buy a homeless person a cup of coffee. Like, it's the act, it's the gesture. Tell someone they look awesome, like. These things I think we need more and more.
Absolutely.
These days. And I refuse to get dragged down in the times. Yes. I refuse, because I know that we're better than that. And I know collectively people are really beautiful. And I refuse to buy into that. I won't do social media anymore. I won't engage in that toxic environment. I'd rather stay in a kind of, like an ignorant... I mean, I'm aware, but... Yeah. I would just rather give that energy to positive things, because as soon as which I've done a lot of my life, to put it into negative things, I just go down a wormhole. And I've done that with everything, alcohol, drugs, you name it. Mm-hmm. I've done that with everything. And, for the rest of the time I've got here, and I have to work on it, but I want to kind of put it into things that hopefully will leave the world a better place. And there's a lot of people who want to do that, and they're never given they're never put on a pedestal, people
Sure.
like Femke and stuff like that. And they should get twice as much airtime as these assholes that are out there. They're sucking up all the juice at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of those assholes are ones that maybe at one time had some positivity and were thinking positive, but they went down that rabbit hole of negativity or followed things other people were saying, and then they get sucked into it, and some people can't get out of it. And that is probably why we have such a large amount of toxicity and negativity.
Yeah, I actually realised that the whole sort of scene is really quite small. It's just a few thousand people sitting at home bored and just, it's like the pissed person in the bar that nobody listened to speak all their shit. Now they've got a kind of global platform, and they can stick it out there, and you see it and you react to it. And like when you shut that down, you actually, like, I got off Instagram and stuff like that, and it was like giving up drugs and alcohol for me. Like, I found myself out in the back. I got 3 dogs, 3 very big dogs, beautiful dogs, and in the garden digging holes, like driving my girlfriend crazy. Like, it was like detoxing off something.
Yeah.
And I shut it down, and I'm sleeping better. I feel better. I don't wake up. I wear a watch now. I don't look at it unless I have to. And it's, actually makes me worry about kids, that have grown up with this. Like, there's a positive thing to it all. The park wouldn't exist without it, but we haven't learned, I hadn't learned how to sort of incorporate it in a kind of regulated way. And it just, people walking down the street looking at this, and the world is awesome outside. You're just not looking at it, and I became aware of that. So,
yep.
And I have to say, like I said, I sleep better, and I'm just not. I don't sort of look and see that kind of negative voice. That kind of is the thing. It's like bad reviews. That's the one you remember.
Right.
You get 100 good reviews. You get 1 bad review for a record. And you know the name of the person who wrote it. Like every musician, every filmmaker.
Yep.
I mean, Gaspar Noé and Andrew Dominic are the only people I know who try to outdo each other with who's got the worst review. Like they kind of like that sort of thing to stir it all up a bit. But most people I know, they remember the bad stuff in a bad way. So
so true.
And that whole thing feeds through with that. And I feel like I'd sort of given enough of my life to that, following that. And I still fuck up. I mean,
just less.
Well, it's for me, it's a day-to-day, mate. It's maintenance. It's every day, and having dogs was like key to that. Like I kind of would see, I have children as well. They're adults now, but with dogs, I kind of had to present my better self to them. See them in the morning, they look at me, and I'm like, I just can't be like, ooh. I have to kind of like, lift my feet up a bit. It's one of the best things I've ever done, is getting dogs.
I love that. And you've done so many fantastic things. And once again, Warren and Mick and Jim, it's so fantastic to have you here in the KEXP
Thank you for having us on.
And thank you for the 30-plus decades, the 30 years
30
plus.
decades.
30 plus decades. It's been a long time.
Feels like 30
I need to check
decades.
how old I actually am. I'm now 123. Yes, thank you for the 30-plus years of, once again, as I said before, transporting all of us fans into another dimension, and we just look forward to the next 30 years. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
See you later.
And also, I want to say thank you to you, the viewers, the listeners, for supporting KEXP so we can bring you these live sessions. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel for tons of experiences just like this one. And KEXP is a nonprofit arts organization, and the music that you hear is made possible by individual support. So thank you again. And the Dirty Three, thank you all again.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And thanks everybody out there who's ever had our back or stuck a knife in it. Thank you.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.